Our final video in this series of ways you can use the Desmos graphing calculator on EQAO Grade 9 math test is about how students can evaluate. Now remember, Desmos at its heart is a calculator, and so we can use the features of the Desmos calculator as you would a normal calculator. Now note, a regular handheld scientific calculator may be better for students than the stuff I'll show you here. But remember, Desmos is not just a graphing, but it also has a scientific calculator. So I'll show you those. So in our first question, we've got a fraction one. Let's see how Desmos handles this. So I'll split screen this. So I can put the expression in here. Now, it's a little dicey putting in a mixed fraction, because if I try and go 2/1/4, you'll see that I get 21/4. So if I try and get out there, it's a little bit harder. So the little cheat for this is to type in the fraction part first, move your cursor to the front, and put in 2. I'm going to zoom in here because we're going to be using less of the calculator part and more of just the entry. So I've got 2/1/4. Times, of course, is the star button. And now let's put in the second mixed fraction. I'm going to start by putting in the 2/5 part and move my cursor in front and get 3. So the answer tells me is 7.65. Now if I click on this button, it gets me a fraction right away. So now the question is, which of these answers is that? Well, immediately I can eliminate this because the denominator is not the same, but I wonder if it's these other ones. Which one is it? So again, if you know how to mix fractions, you can do this on your own, but let's just put in the answer. So I'm going to put in the 13/20 and put a 6 in front of it. Right away, it just doesn't evaluate for me, so I'm going to check by pushing the fraction button, and you see that these fractions are not the same, so we don't have that right answer. So now I'm going to try the 7 instead. So I go to the 7 and I see that they're equivalent fractions, and that's my answer. Now remember, I also had a decimal answer. So if I click this back, I'll get that decimal answer, and I click this. You can copy that mixed fraction, put it down here, and it will get you a decimal answer. But the feature of having them as fractions allows you to make that comparison pretty quickly. So I feel confident that that's my answer. Again, a great strategy with everything is to check the other ones. So I'm just going to check 6 and 2/20s, and that's not the same. And even though I'm pretty confident this one is not, I will check that it is indeed not the same. And so I can use this like a calculator. But I am going to show you and remind you that Desmos has its own scientific calculator. So up in the URL, we see we go to desmos.com/calculator. If I just go and erase the calculator part and just go to desmos.com, it takes me right here, and I can choose all the different types of calculators that we have there. So I'll use the scientific calculator now to answer this question. And here you can see the fraction button is embedded in the work. So if I type in 2 and then I want to do a fraction, I can just go and put that in, 1/4. I get that. I can go times, of course it replaces it with the dot, 3, and then fraction 2/5. I do get the answer, the decimal answer, but if I want that mixed fraction, it's there. I push enter, and just like a large screen graphing or scientific calculator, you can keep stuff there. So I'm going to double check my answer of 7 and then the fraction 13/20. Push this button and see that it is indeed the same number. If I just push enter, I can get another one and check my other ones. So there's the Desmos scientific calculator. And of course, you can do it on the handheld calculator, something the students might be more comfortable with using to also do some of these features. Let's move on to another question. Scientific notation. So first, we'll do this on a Desmos calculator, or the graphing calculator. So 1.2 times 10 to the power of 4. And you'll notice that it does tell me right away the answer is 12,000. And so that's great. So this is a great spot to use scientific notation. The scientific calculator, of course, will do it as well, times 10 to the power of 4, and you can get the answer right away. Now, there is some limitations because we don't always have room. So if I think I can go up to 8 and it will tell me this, but as soon as I get to 9, it just spits out another answer. Even if I make this bigger, I still can't get any better than that. So there are some limitations on using the Desmos as a scientific calculator. You can also go down to -4. When you're using the graphing calculator, you can get down to -6. When you're using the scientific calculator, if I put in -4, again, it's not quite, it shows me the scientific one, but it does go down as small as -3. Similarly, if you were going the other way, where you had the number here and you had different Desmos, or sorry, different scientific answers, it doesn't go the other way and put it in scientific. But what you would do is simply put in the answers and check to see if it matches the question. So that's how we would answer that. Here's another one where we got scientific notation, or sorry, scientific notation, and we need to put it in lowest to greatest. So if I just go straight to the graphing calculator, I've got them all inputted here, and they've converted them all to decimal and real number form. And so I can quickly see that the biggest is 360, or 3.6 times 10 to the power of 5. The next biggest, it looks like this, so I'm going to move that guy down here. And it looks like my smallest is there. So again, very quickly I'm able to do that with the limitations that not every scientific one goes off like that. One last little cheat code I'll show you when you are asked to try and move things or rank things from smallest to largest. When you have these numbers, a little cheat is to turn these into points. So if I turn each of these onto points, then they'll appear on a number line. So you can see that we have these now being points on a number line, just making all of the y coordinates 0. So you see, of course, these numbers are really big and small, so it's hard to tell which is bigger or smaller. But if I zoom in, I can see that the blue dot is slightly smaller than the red dot. So I know that this value is smaller than the red. And then I'm going to have to go out pretty big, so I'm going to have to change my x-axis to like 555. And here is one of my black dots is here, and the other one, the purple, is way down here, so obviously the black one is much larger than the purple one. So this feature is a cool little feature. When you're asked to arrange things in order, you can kind of use the cheat code of like what is bigger, 4/7 or 0.5. You can see the decimal is there, or you can put them as coordinates. Oops. And that will tell me that the green one is further on the number line, so it must be larger. So that would be the final way that we can use Desmos as a way to support students in EQAO math. Please check out the other earlier videos on how I also used Desmos to show how to do graphing questions, tables, and algebras. Thanks for watching, and good luck.